state tournament, which hopefully they will next year. We brought some sketches that we had done at the beginning part of the design phase. We were constantly having meetings with the district, so they approved our design, and they were able to give their input as to what they were getting. We have a program here that gave us, idea of they wanted to have a 600-seat bleachers with the press box, so they can call games, you can hear on the radio. We wanted to have a concession building with the restrooms to service the entire facility. It's going to be for 5 fields. 2 of them are existing and they have existing field lights, but 3 of them are going to be brand new lights. So they can, again, have the tournament at night if they so choose. Let's see, what else did we of course, it's kind of hard to see because we brought some hard copy stuff, but we did a code review, figuring out what we need to do with restrooms. We have 530 here, 550 here for male and 550 for female. Of course, you do the code numbers and it gives you how many facilities you need, restrooms you need to have. Our plumbing, fixture analysis, codes. These are some of the original sketches that we came up with that, we went through the process with the district. You can tell that Richard did this because he's much of a better sketcher than I am. But this is kind of how we started our design process. This here would be a layout of the restrooms, which was one of our initial designs. This is kind of an elevation that we were thinking. The property drops quite a bit right here. I don't know if you guys are ever familiar with it. It's the old High Noon soccer complex. Our initial idea was to have something that you can walk out onto and watch the games on the southern fields. This is another elevation that we kind of had. Our initial idea was to have simple shapes, boxes, rectangles, squares, and we wanted to make them usable. We don't want to have too much wasted space, so what we decided to do is we wanted to rotate them a little bit to give it more of a flair to it. There's really not a lot of buildings at the Field of Dreams that have that. So that was what our intent was. We had originally had some curved roofs, which we ended up getting rid of down the road. But this is where we started out with. Go ahead and show you as the process went on. Again, this was our layout for the restrooms, so we can see what the district wanted. They wanted to have a plumbing chase. We ended up getting rid of that later on. But as you can tell, the big portion of the building was restrooms. This was one of the original plans that we thought of. We wanted to have a concession area where we've got fields in the north and fields in the south, so we didn't want everybody getting clogged on one set of lines. So we wanted to have different angled lines here and this way. That way you can come from each side of the field, and then, of course it wouldn't be one big clogged line of people. This is the site here. These are the 2 fields that exist with existing lights. And these are the new fields that we're going to start actually lighting on Monday. Actually, they're going to be putting in the lights on Monday. This would be the concession building, and here's a little ticket booth that we're going to have people come in. They pay their fee and they get a ticket and they can go to any of the games here. The bleachers that they're getting now are going to be for the championship field. And if you notice that this one is bigger than these fields. We didn't know, for those of you who played soccer, there are different sizes for fields. Didn't realize that was the case until we got into this project. But the biggest field will be the championship field. So when they have a state tournament next year, the championship will be played on this field in front of the bleachers and the press box. Get to the next board here. And this is our final design. This is what it's going to look like. We went ahead and picked some hard surface material on the bottom. We're going to be using some stone veneer, CMU split face veneer, and we're going to be doing some metal facade here. We're going to have a metal roof. All of it's going to be metal roof. We've got some angled columns to kind of go along with the angled scheme that we have. This big building here, as you can see there, it's kind of hard to see if you're in the back, but we've got some concession lines here and a concession line here. That way we still service the north fields and the south fields. We got a concrete walk path. We actually got something that's nice that goes along the entire length of the field, or the width of the fields, is a concrete walk path, so people can put some, bring their own chairs and watch the games on either side of the fields. But it's about a 2,400 square foot building, and here you can see how we have the angles here. Again, it's just, for the most part, boxes and squares and rectangles. But we wanted to have a little angled piece of metal roof here, overhang. You know, you have the sun down here, it gets a little warm. Got our men and restrooms here, family restroom, concession, and we have one storage room for each high school. And then we have a training room for those who get injured or need some medical attention. And then we've got some referee rooms for the referees that we were told that they didn't have any place to change. So we wanted to provide them places where they have a locker, they can keep their stuff. We were told that they'd actually change in their cars before the game. So we're trying to make things as easy to use as possible for them. So we have a female referee and a male referee. And of course, we've got a little roof over here, overhang that, for them, that they can have tournaments, whatever, they can have cookouts, they can have a place to relax in between the games they're officiating. So here's a large plan of the ticket booth. We're also going to have another metal roof over here as you walk into the facility. And this was an initial scheme of the bleachers and the press box. The bleachers actually got thinner and longer, but we allowed for the district to add on as the fields are being used more and more. So it'll be a continuing process for this project, but that's something that we wanted to show you guys. And it's under construction now. If you guys get a chance to go by, you can see it under construction, but this is what it's going to look like when it's finished, hopefully in November. I don't know if there's... we have a little study model that we did, but it helped the client, the district, approve our design. We were told that they don't get a lot of models, so we wanted to show them some stuff outside the box, and they fell in love with it. When they saw this model, they approved our design. So for those of you who are getting into the digital age, physical models actually still play a good role. I know Revit and stuff like that can do that, but Richard will attest to the physical models get a lot of use. So I don't know if we have time for questions, but if anybody has any questions, or if you had anything to add, Richard.
I think Gabe did a good job on the presentation. Gabe's our project manager on this project, so he has to deal with the contractor on a daily basis. It's a small building. If you think of it, it's 2,400 square feet. So that's the size of of an average home in Las Cruces. So it's not that big a building. When the district asked us to do it, in their mind, they were thinking it was just going to be a little rectangle that would sit out there on the soccer fields. And we said, well, the building really needs to be a little more fun than just a rectangle with restrooms and a concession stand in it. So that's why we did the big porch that Gabe's talking about right here. And the model looks a little different than what we actually wound up doing. But this gives a lot of shade. If that's the one thing you notice when you go out to the soccer fields, there's no shade at all out there, so it gets pretty warm. Of course, I guess that's good for concessions, but so if you look at the plan, and I know it's kind of hard to see from where you're sitting, it's a relatively simple plan. It's just some rectangles, and all we did is just rotate the rectangle a little bit. And we were out on the job site this morning with the contractor discussing, I forgot what it was that they were asking us some questions about, and the contractor always pokes us when we go out on the site about how there's not a straight line on this project, and he's grumbling about that it would have been easier if it was just a rectangle, and why don't you draw straight lines or rectangles anymore? And I told him that, well, as architects, we used to do that, but the contractors never got that right. So we thought we'd try, angling it. Maybe they could do that for a change. So that shut them up. So, but again, it's a very simple building. I guess my point is, even on small buildings, don't think that you have to settle for a boring piece of architecture. Even small buildings can become interesting pieces of architecture. And I think this is one of those buildings that's actually, when you get out there and you start walking around it, it's going to even be more interesting than the drawings. And of course, the other thing I was going to show you is simple little building, big set of contract documents. So, even if you think it's a small little building, you got to convey all that information back to the contractors so they can build those buildings. So that's it. Do you have any questions? No? Yes. Well, it's designed to handle 1,200 people on the site. So when the district told us that they wanted this facility, we had to come up with some number, and their goal is to host the state tournament here next year. Yes. Well, remember, the people aren't inside the building. Those 2,400 are outside most of the time, except for the restrooms. And at some point, the district has a budget. And, we downsized it a little bit, and the district had to back off how many people they want to handle. So at some point, you might have a line out the bathroom. Yeah, but, now if you go over there, you've got porta potties. No, well, I don't know. There's a lot of restrooms here, so, there's a lot of toilet fixtures in this building, so. Anything else? No? Okay. All right, thank you.